I'm making a set of chopsticks, and I have these handles that I've made and altered the color of. They're steel on these oak chopsticks. I've already turned one of them down to a 3/16 diameter so that it fits inside the handle that I'll be epoxying on. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the second one and epoxy them both, and then I will be able to clamp on this in a 3-jaw chuck and do the rest of my turning. I want the diameter to be the same length as the first one, so I'll make my mark and start gouging it out. I'm gonna have to use the 3-jaw chuck because these teeth right here aren't long enough to dig into the small diameter. It's pretty round now, and I'm going to use these OD calipers and my parting tool to create a couple reference points along here so that I can flatten it out to get the right diameter. If I turn all of these high spots down to the diameter of the low spots, then I should end up with a rod just like this one, and the handle should fit right over on this one. Each of the high spots I roughed with a gouge, and now I'm going to finish it up with a skew, checking all the spots in between with my caliper. Diameter, so I'm just going to give it a quick sand. Cut the end off and then test to see if this fits. The handle fits pretty closely, but I think I'm going to sand a little bit down here to fit it a little more smoothly on there, and then epoxy the handles. This one's a little bit tighter than the first one, but that's alright because I'll be epoxying them both anyway. And I think I'm just about ready. I'm going to add this 2-part epoxy onto the handle, spread it evenly around, and slide the handle on. Now it's important to wipe off the excess so that it doesn't harden like that. Now both of the backs match. And I've turned down one of the front ends, took off the tape, and you can see the handle. I think it matches the oak really nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this second one down, and it should match the first one. So I've removed the tool post from the lathe, and now I can use this section, which is now turned horizontally, as a tool rest. It's a little bit uneven. I'd have to move this around, but it works to get this all turned down using the wood tools. I'm going to skew to get close to the handle right here because it's got a sharp corner. Pretty consistent diameter now, so I'm going to make it a lot flatter with this large skew and also increase the taper a little bit. I've finished now with the skews and other lathe tools, so I'm going to move on to sanding. This is a 180 grit, and we'll work away all the way down to 600, and then I'm actually going to polish it up with some toothpaste before I put oil on. 600 grit, all the way up to 600, and I'm going to polish it with a little bit of toothpaste. So on a rag, I'll spin it a little bit faster than I have been, and polish it up. It's pretty easy to get the rag caught up in the spindle, so you have to make sure you're holding on to it pretty tightly. So it is a little bit shinier than it was before, a little bit glossier. And I'm going to use a clean part of the cloth and buff off the extra toothpaste. Polish. Going to put some mineral oil on to give it a nice finish. Now I'm rubbing my fingers across to heat up the wood a little bit. It'll open the grains and let the oil soak in a little deeper. The color of the wood on both chopsticks matches really well, same oil. So I'll go ahead and take it out and see how they compare. Chopstick right here has a hole from the live center on the lathe. This one I had already sanded off, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. I'm just going to finish up the tip here with some finer 600 grit, and then re-oil that spot, and they should be finished. I reapplied oil to the tip of this one after sanding, and it matches the rest of it. And I also put oil here on the back, so the backs match the front. I really like the style. Everything here was made on the lathe, some on the wood lathe, some on the metal lathe. The handles came from hexagon steel stock that I lathed. Pretty simple, just faced both ends and did some plunge cuts. And then I did a colorization using heat to match the wood a little better. But I think these steel and oak chopsticks will make a really nice gift.